Pope Francis has sparked hope for a more inclusive stance with the Catholic Church regarding same-sex couples. In a letter to retired cardinals urging him to uphold traditional values on homosexuality, Pope Francis hinted at the possibility of blessing same-sex couples in a manner distinct from heterosexual unions. While underscoring the sanctity of marriage between a man and a woman, he emphasized the importance of pastoral charity, compassion, and empathy in interactions with LGBTQ plus individuals. The Pope suggested exploring the potential for case-by-case blessings that do not misrepresent the essence of marriage, indicating a potential shift in the Catholic Church's approach to LGBTQ plus issues. This development marks a significant step forwards for LGBT plus Catholics and reflects a departure from previous Vatican statements offering renewed optimism for greater inclusivity in church practices. And this story is from LGBTQ Nation, published on October the 3rd, 2023. So, blatant. How blatant is this?
It's pretty damn blatant. I love to quote, "In our relationship with people, we must not lose the pastoral charity, which should permeate all of our decisions and attitudes." Now, if I had gone to their school, I would start a slow clap because beautiful. But is the bar extremely low for my expectations for the Pope? Absolutely, yes, it is. So this is nice to see. But then he went on to say, we cannot be judges who only deny, reject, and exclude. Oh, snap. Spoken like a human that's finally developed object permanence. You know what I mean? He understands that other humans exist outside of his little world, outside of his big hat. Beautiful. And I think his conclusion about what it's about what I'd expect. I'm not going to lie. The conclusion is, I'm not the type of person to see the glass half full or half empty. I'm the person that sees the glass as a test, and I want to know who's actually pulling the strings. So I'm a bit of a cynic. But
you're a cynic?
Just a little bit. But the way he ended
Micro-cynic.
Micro-cynic. The way he ended the quote was, "The life of the church flows through many channels other than normative ones." And that sounds like corporate speak to me, because what I hear in that statement is, we're leaving money on the table here by only tapping to our limited range of benefactors. We need more inclusion if we're going to be able to include their contributions in next quarter's earnings. That's what I hear. I hear corporation. So I want to be happy for this subset of LGBTQ plus community that still get along with these people. I want to be happy for them, but in my cynical view, LGBTQ plus Catholic looks as counterproductive and oxymoronic as Black Catholic or Black Baptist for that matter.
Is this Catholicism Inc.?
Jimmy, what do you think?
Yeah, it's Catholicism Inc. and the Pope is the CEO. And I don't agree with, or I don't buy anything that he's saying. This is more of the same stuff that he's been spewing in the last year. Back in July, he said something similar about we have to be understanding toward LGBTQ and homosexual people. But, we still can't really treat them as equals or marry homosexual couples in our church. And I agree with the fact that they are just trying to tap into resources in the face of an unprecedented decline. The Catholic Church has not the same amount of influence nor income that it once had, even though it is a multi-billion-dollar a year industry. But this is ultimately an unequal ploy to offer false hope to keep the tithe coming. And his response, Pope Francis, that is, to the cardinals, that there may be a path forward in which the church can bless same-sex couples, in a way that is different from blessing married heterosexual couples. Well, if it's different, then it's worthless to me, in my opinion. And what does that even mean, to bless it? Like, all right, you're okay. You can come hang out with us fine, you're married, whatever. Just give us your money every week. I think that's kind of what he's getting at. And this is the Pope we're talking about. I mean, why does he have to kind of dance around this approach that he wants to take? If he's going to hint at this for so many months in a row, just come out with it. Just come out with it. You're the Pope, for crying out loud. But he can't just do that, because he's taking this kind of soft and creeping approach in order to obtain buy-in and approval from the lower Catholic hierarchies. So that this decision ultimately will seem like it's more comprehensive, all-encompassing. But I don't trust a thing that the Catholic Church has to say, and I really don't trust the Pope. So those are my thoughts on that subject. Aaron, what say you?
Picture the scene. 250,000 years ago, humans, they're first coming on the scene. God shows up. Okay, everybody, gather around. I'm God. I created you all. Let's get together. I got to get some rules out here so you can all no, I don't need to go through one person. I can share the message with everybody at the same time. Okay, rule number 1, treat everybody like a friend and be a friend, because the more friends you have, the happier you're going to be. Rule number 2, don't own people. Bad to own people. Rule number 3, it doesn't matter who you're having sex with. It doesn't matter who other people are having sex with. It's okay. And and here's some condoms. So you don't have to have babies if you don't want any. And also, sorry about the viruses and the bacteria and the STI. I got rid of those. So now you can enjoy it just a little bit more. I'll probably check in another quarter million years or so, but good luck. So Pope Francis says that they want to defend objective truth. And if Pope Francis wanted to defend objective truth, what he's really saying is defend objective moral truth. And what he's trying to say is that, well, we believe God said in the Bible that marriage is between a man and a woman. So, but we really need to court the non-cis hetero vote, so to speak. So we'll kind of make a little exception here, but we're still going to defend objective truth. Yeah, if it had been objective truth, you wouldn't be changing your mind, and God would have said something at the very beginning and not change. But churches and religions, their morals have changed so many times over the years. There is no objective moral truth. All you have to do is look in the Bible and see all the atrocious things that God used to support and condone that, he doesn't condone anymore. So it's really weird that way.
Is the Pope late to the party? Is he late to this party? Has he been, behind the curve a bit on all this? Because, Western Europe's been moving forwards with, same-sex marriage. I mean, North America, kicking and screaming in some parts of North America, has been moving towards same-sex marriage. I mean, parts of Oceania, they've been saying yes to same-sex marriage. But is the Pope late to this party? Does it just feel like he's a bit late to this party? I mean, is this the end of the world as we know it?
Religion is always late to the party. Religion has never been the one to lead on religious morals, to make the world better first. It's secular people, it's other people to make and advance and improve our moral codes. Yeah, so yeah,
they're not late. They're not late. They're first at the party, and they're the ones that won't leave your house. They're
thought they were Jehovah's Witnesses.
They're just trying. You're like, man, when are these people gonna go? And they're just kind of like, hey, you got a pillow? So, yeah.
Not my pillow, may I say? Not my pillow. But anyway. Old Popey Boy has decided to, bless some same-sex unions. And, as the resident trans person on this panel, will he be blessing same-sex unions which involve a trans person or between two trans people? And does he still stand by his statements that I'm a mentally ill person that, is just, confused? Does he still stand by those statements? Because if he does, I don't want anything to do with him. If he's changed on that too, then hang on a minute. We could be seeing something here, but otherwise it's just window dressing and it's just a load of nonsense. But 40 years ago, we would have been laughing at this because, nowhere did same-sex marriage, not even the Netherlands, and they were first. But now, 40 years later, in his own back door, Italy does same-sex marriages. France does same-sex marriages. The UK does same-sex marriages. The Republic of Ireland does same-sex marriages. Countries with enormous Catholic populations that now go, yeah, all right. And one of them with a fairly bloody Catholic history all go, yeah, same-sex marriages are fine. So I think the Pope's been backed into a corner here. But what Blatant says is right. It is Catholic Church Inc. that's really starting to push this. So where do we think they're going to go next? So, okay, they open up the doors slightly here to LGBTQ couples. Do they then move on to women's rights? Do they start allowing women to be anything other than just laity? Do we think that's going to happen, or do we think it's just going to be the same Blatant?
I think they're going to just glob on to whatever the topic of the day is. Whatever Catholics and conservatives are complaining about right now, or whatever the zeitgeist, whichever way that's moving, they're going to just inch their way into it, but not completely. We're just going to hint at, we kind of agree a little bit, sort of, kind of, not completely, but a little bit. Give me money. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, and they have to have a business model where they're kind of sitting around and figuring out how long they can lead people on, right? So I think a pretty significant thing that the Pope said that was in this article was that we have to show people that the Catholic Church is a religion of patience and understanding. Patience and understanding of what? I think that kind of language is directed at people for them to kind of get this sense of false hope that maybe the church will come around. But in reality, it's those people that the church hopes to change. The church doesn't want to change itself. They want to bring those people in and wait them out, right? And so they have to kind of figure out, maybe what's the amount of time we can get somebody in here to make donations to us before they realize we're not going to change our mind? Is it 6 months? Is it 9 months? Is it a year? Can we project next quarter's earnings based on a year of somebody coming in and donating before they leave the church again because they realize that we're actually full of shit? That's got to be happening at some level. And so that's kind of where I see this going. To kind of answer your question, Phoebe, and I agree with Blatant. They are, I don't think, ever going to really make an improvement on any of these positions. They're blessing same-sex, perhaps, but that really is a bunch of empty jargon, and they're going to give empty jargon about the other things that come to dominate the sociopolitics of our time. And so I think that's probably going to be the new direction for the Catholic Church, just like, hey, I'm still relevant. Listen to me. And so there we are. And here we are with the church.
The key, adaptability equals survival. So if a church can't adapt to modern morals and change and the advances that society is making, it's going to die. And so of course they're going to adapt. Of course, eventually, eventually they will be marrying same-sex couples. Eventually all Christian churches will be marrying same-sex couples. Eventually women will be priests in all churches because they're going to have to get there because that's where society is going. And if they want to survive, they're just going to have to get there. Otherwise people will leave in droves and they'll find other places. And he said this, he says, the defense of objective truth, I've already spoken on what a bunch of BS that is not the only expression of this charity. It also includes kindness, patience, understanding, tenderness, and encouragement. Therefore, we cannot be judges who only deny, reject, and exclude. That's a really humanist perspective, and I'm kind of surprised to hear that kind of a perspective from the Pope. I'm glad he's sharing it, but can you imagine what the Catholic Church would be like if it was humanist focused instead of dogmatically religious? Can you imagine what an organization like that could do, the good it could do in the world? Before I permanently left the church, one of the final meetings that I was at, it was centered around youth and introducing a new youth program. I was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. And as I was watching this, I thought, do you know what good this church could do if they just took out the religious part and just focused on teaching people to be kind and patient and understanding and tender and encouraging,
and that extensive family history tracing they do.
Yeah, and having people having that community. That's one of the greatest things about religion is that community you automatically get when you join people, and that being able to turn an organization like that into something that's more humanistic and secular, the power and the goodness that they could do in the world would just be amazing.
But it does raise a much more valid point here. How hypocritical is the Catholic Church? I mean, the Catholic Church is an elected theocracy that runs the world's smallest country. A few men in red go and elect
with a wall around it.
True, very true. But I mean, some men in red go into a room, burn some paper when they don't make a decision, but when they make a decision, they burn paper with a different color to give you some elected theocrat that's going to be running what they claim to be 1 billion Catholics. But here's the thing: if you add up the numbers of people claimed to be members of religions, there are 6 times as many people claimed to be members of religions that actually exist on planet Earth at any point in time. So here's the next question for this. So say the Pope does go down this path and he says, yes, we're going to be inclusive of LGBT plus people, etc., etc. Do you think the 6 on the Supreme Court of the United States are going to do what Catholicism says you should do, and that is slavishly obey the Pope, or do you think they're just going to pay absolutely no attention to him and carry on regardless?
Yeah, it's because I think they'll just carry on regardless, because I think it's just it's a dog whistle. The religious stuff is all just a dog whistle to gain support, to distract people from the real issues, so they can have power and they can change the government the way they want to. They want an executive-free branch government, essentially. And they're going to use whatever tools they can to get there. And one of the tools they use is to create single issue voters, abortion, and so that only so they get to elected. There's no consequences for any elected official as long as they're they support that one single issue, and you get those people into power and they get people on the Supreme Court. Yeah, it's totally they don't care. They just want power. They just want less government. They just want to hate and take away people's rights because they think they're right.
It's absolutely a dog whistle. Yeah. Like literally,
ahead,
like they just say anything. Like they can say anything. We're going to do this, blah, 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 because I'm Christian. And American Christians especially were like, oh, he said he's a Christian. Yeah, that's a great idea. Like it's literally that simple. They can go out and beat puppies and say, because I'm Christian. And American Christians would say, oh, yeah. That dog must have been a demon. I don't know. Yeah. I'm sorry I interrupted you, Jimmy. You can go ahead.
No, that's fine. I think I couldn't really said it any better than Aaron. So I just want to echo the key word to everything he said was power, right? And Blatant, I think that you were getting at that point as well. Like power is really the only thing that kind of matters. And no matter what change the Pope makes, all right, what's going to happen then, I think, is that the Supreme Court and the elected officials that would typically go along with what the Pope says would have to do some kind of post hoc rationalism and figure out a new way to deliver their message, right? And it's all going to come down to who can give them power, who can maintain the status quo so that they can remain in the position that they're in. And I do actually think that change is going to come. I think it's going to happen in several centuries, though. And some nerds are going to look back in history and say, wow, look at this several 100-year-old video I found of Phoebe and Blatant and Jimmy and Aaron, and they all predicted this. They predicted nerds. That this was going to happen.
Hello.
Right? Yeah. So, yeah.
What I'd say to that, I say this one thing to that. Where's Teo when you need him?
Yeah, where's Teo
when you need him? But on that note, to find more Teo, click here.